Making a Difference, The Life of Reverend Dr. T.J. Jemison. Reverend Dr. T.J. Jemison was born on August 1st, 1918. He was my great-grandfather. He attended segregated public schools and graduated from a historically black Alabama State University in Montgomery. He also got a divinity degree in Virginia Union University in Richmond. He died November 15th, 2013, when I was 3 years old. Reverend Dr. T.J. Jemison was a very empathetic being. He loved every race, religion, and color. When I was 9 in 3rd grade, I was introduced to the work of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My mother said her grandfather knew Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and didn't inform me about their collaboration until 5th grade. I interviewed my grandfather, Ted Jemison, and he gave me amazing answers to my questions, and I am here to share it. The Compassionate One. Jemison loved God and appreciated life. His first name, Theodore, means God-given. He was inspired by a special person, his own father.
My grandfather was president of the Alabama Baptist State Convention 2 years before my father was born, and he stayed president of that same organization for over 50 years. So his power was felt throughout the nation and certainly throughout Alabama. He was also a president of the National Baptist Convention from 1941 to 1953. And of course, his style of preaching and his style of dealing with people led my father into being a minister also. So that would be the main influence on my dad's life.
Jemison set a good example for his children. He treated people equally and respected their rights. He was a family man and loved spending time with his children. His children loved spending time with him.
And of course, he would always say he would not be deterred. His mission was set, and he had to go and follow what was started.
In the 1953 Baton Rouge bus boycott, the Black community arranged free carpool, allowing protesters to continue their daily jobs while still contributing to the boycott. I don't remember Jemison because he died when I was 3 in 2013. I didn't realize how much he had done to the world. He was a leader. He was a good example for me. Once I make a change, others can too. I am proud to be a descendant of this amazing person who inspires me to find the right way to live. Jemison was very vigilant and had a big impact on his children. He showed them the right way to treat people. He wanted them to remember the golden rule. In 2003, Reverend Dr. T.J. Jemison was interviewed by WBRZ News Channel 2 in Baton Rouge.
Mount Zion on East Boulevard, and the buses would pass by going into South Baton Rouge, and the people were standing up over empty seats. And I just thought that was wrong. And I went to the city council and made that known. And the city council and the late W.W. Dumas was on that council at the time, and they voted unanimously that Negroes, as we were called then, would ride from the back to the front. They could fill up, take all the seats, and whites would go from the front to the back. You see, segregation in 1953 was the order of the day. That was.
He thought the outcome was as good as it was going to get. Little did he know, he started a whole civil rights movement. Tranquil or strife, is jealousy in the way? Here stands his memorial at McKinley High School in Baton Rouge.
I guess the one thing he would emphasize is what you will find written in the Bible is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And of course, the treatment that you want to give that same treatment to others.
But what's behind this? Violence is never the answer, But what if it happens anyway? You can't control violence, but you can reduce how often it happens.
Some isolated events. There were cross burnings on my father's lawn, and there were lots of phone calls and things done to intimidate him. And of course, he would always say he would not be deterred. His mission was set, and he had to go and follow what was started.
The outcome. He put into effect a bus boycott in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 1953. He prepared this boycott because of the mistreatment that African Americans received on buses. The whites sat in the front and the blacks sat in the back. Some blacks were even kicked off or sent to jail for not giving up their seats. They wanted to eliminate this Jim Crow law. They wanted a change. The bus boycott was successful and lasted until there was a compromise, which took 8 days to agree on. Isn't that a brief amount of time? Reverend T.J. Jemison was, of course, famous at this time. His children could have been scared of the world because of jealous people. Or were they proud?
Of course, being the son of a famous father, you have certain things, certain people that were jealous, and you had to always watch your step where you went, and you had to carry yourself in such a way as to live in such a way that people will see that your father's instructions were paramount in my mind and made me do the right things that I had to do.
Having a seat on the bus was one reason, but did this bus boycott happen just because of that? There has to be another reason why. Or is it justice? The bus boycott was a resounding success. The protest lasted until they came up with a compromise that some people didn't agree with. But TJ thought it was the best decision. Behind the scenes, so many bus drivers had come to him in private to say that we understand what's going on. That was something that wasn't even known at the time. An agreement ended the bus boycott after about 8 days. During an oral history review, T.J. Jemison says, and of course, out of the 3 years later than his bus boycott, after we formed what is known as the SCLC, Christian Southern Leadership Conference, and Dr. King was the first president. T.J. was the first secretary. Even after the bus boycott, my grandfather continued to dedicate his life for fighting for equal rights. My interview with my grandfather, Ted Jemison, helps me build the strength to learn more about him. I don't remember him, but he is important to me, and I wish I remembered him. His remembrance will stay forever in the family.
Prayer and deep faith. What 50 years after this boycott, what would be your prayer today as we look to the next 50 years?
My prayer today would be that we don't forget the past, that we would remember the past only to give us a sense of appreciation of our present status and our years ahead, that it can be done and God will watch over you and give you direction and the strength and the mind to do it.
Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is famous for his Montgomery bus boycott. Why isn't TJ? Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was inspired by my great-grandfather, and I am too. I think Reverend Dr. T.J. Jemison should be well known like Martin Luther King Jr. He said it was sort of like a peace that the world cannot give and the world cannot take back. About King, T.J. Jemison should be remembered too. Remember the dreams of hope that someday this will end, like it never stepped foot, no violence or fire soot. Marching together for a reason, a strong reason that brings out the meaning of life, that has a voice we all relate to. But no, you said no. No blacks in this communion. No, we blacks aren't immune. We have rights and we just might lose quietude. If you say be gone, we'll leave, but not without a harmonious fight. we want to say we're using our rights to do what's right.
I would just like to thank my teacher, Margaret Simon, my mom, Tamika Livingston Willis, and others. My grandfather, Ted Jemison, my Aunt Diane, my Aunt Betty, and my cousin, Edward Pollard.